Have you ever wondered why some people enrich with apparent ease, while others fight their entire lives without leaving the place? Perhaps the answer is something that have never told you: a simple but powerful principle that turns thoughts into results, and intentions into reality. And no, it's not a magic formula. It is conscious action. It is planted seed every day, often without realizing it. The truth is that your current life is a harvest. This may bother, I know, but that's exactly why you need to hear it today. Because as long as you repeat the same standards, you feel the same pains and blame the world outside. It's failing to access the only place where change really begins inside you. And this is not cheap self-help chat. It's future construction based on what you are planting now. It may seem uncomfortable to face this truth. But discomfort is also fertile ground for transformation. And if you have the courage to continue with me to the end, you will find that there is a silent principle guiding your results: financial, emotional, spiritual. A principle that no one has taught you at school, which rarely speak in the media, but that true rich have known for a long time. Today you will understand why your thoughts, feelings, and actions are not neutral. They are seeds. And life does not fail, it returns exactly what you plant. So tell me, are you ready to finally find out what is sabotaging your prosperity harvest? With each choice, you plant. When you think, speak, act, or even when you shut up, you are sowing the fruits you will reap ahead. It sounds simple, but most people live in automatic mode, without realizing that everything they do today builds tomorrow for good or for evil. And it's no use praying for a crop of peace if you plant conflict every day. Life does not fail, it returns exactly what you deliver. Imagine someone who arrives late every day at work, answers hard, does not deliver what he promised. Now tell me, do you really think this person will be promoted? Or will you keep your job when there are cuts? It is obvious not. This behavior is a plantation of failure. Worse, sometimes we don't even realize that they are doing this because it has become a habit. The plantation begins in detail. It's that passive antique joke with your partner: after I do that, becomes eternal procrastination, the excuse not to exercise. Small seeds. But over time, they saw high bush. This is why so many people get lost in the way, because you do not realize that they are watering attitudes that sabotage their own evolution. And then they blame the world for the bitter harvest. The good news is that the opposite is also true. When you plant presence, respect, dedication, and truth even in small things, life responds. You start to be seen, recognized, respected. Opportunities arise not by luck, but because their energy has changed. The harvest of abundance begins in the planting of consciousness. It's subtle, but it's real. And powerful. Want to change your results? Start with the seeds. Note what you are repeating on autopilot. Your words have strength. Your gestures count. Your silence also speaks. When you understand that you are always planting even without realizing it, starts choosing more carefully what you play on the ground of life. And this simple consciousness is already transformative. So, I invite you to take a break and look at today. Just today. What did you plan so far? At home, at work, on social networks. In your thoughts and your feelings. The harvest of the future begins now. And the terrain is yours. Only you can decide whether to cultivate growth or continue watering chaos. So what will be your seed? Few people realize, but what you think is also a form of plantation. Thought is not just a loose idea in the air, it has energy, direction, impact. When you think negatively, repetitively, and self-depreciative, you are throwing seeds on the ground of your mind. And guess what? This soil is fertile. What you feed most grow. Always. Phrases like "I don't realize," "money is difficult," or "no man no good" are more dangerous than they seem. They create deep roots in their subconscious and guide your behavior without you realizing it. It is as if you prison your internal GPS to run in circles. And then wonders why your life doesn't get out of place. The answer? It's what you are repeating mentally. Thought generates feeling. Feeling shapes behavior. And behavior builds reality. It is a silent but infallible cycle. This is why changing your life begins by observing your thoughts honestly. It is not a forced positive thinking, but of conscience. Thinking differently is an act of courage. It's like changing the lens you see the world. Want a practical exercise? Take paper and pen and write down what thoughts do you have about money? About love? About yourself? Read aloud. If these phrases came out of the mouth of someone you love, would you leave it? If the answer is no, then why do you keep accepting that they live inside your head? Plantation is also that. Reprogramming begins with surveillance. Every time a Sabbath, question. Change for something more constructive. Instead of I'm terrible in this, says I'm learning. Instead of I will never have money, say I'm building my financial freedom. Does it look silly? It may even be. But the brain believes in what you repeat. If you want a new life, you need to plant a new way of thinking. It's not easy at first, the old patterns scream. But with practice and persistence, you change your mental frequency. And life begins to respond differently. Because thought is not just the head, it is a seed in the field of reality. And you are the gardener of all this. If thoughts plant ideas, feelings plant experiences. Feeling is not something neutral. Every emotion you feed daily is shaping the emotional soil of your life. Poorly resolved feelings, such as hurt, anger, or chronic sadness, are like weeds. They suffocate their joy, drain their energy, and contaminate their most important relationships. It all starts inside. A lot of people carry ancient sorrows as if they were trophies. Look what so and so did to me. Repeat, as if saving resentment was a sign of strength. But it is not. Hurt is emotional prison. As long as you cultivate this feeling, there is no room for happiness to flourish. And the hardest who suffers most, nor is the other, it's you. It is your peace, your health, your ability to love. Anger not expressed, swallowed sadness, accumulated resentment, all this becomes behavior. You close, move away, explode by silly. And usually discounts those who love you most. Because what does not heal inside, escapes outside. This is how marriages wear out, friendships break up, and whole families get sick emotionally. The feeling is never quiet. Want a simple step to change that? Start by practicing forgiveness. Not the forgiveness of a forced soap opera. But conscious forgiveness, the one who frees you, not the other. Sometimes forgiving is stopping carrying what has passed. It is to say, it hurt me, but it won't define me anymore. And gradually this choice is healing its inner soil. It prepares fertile ground for lighter feelings. Feeling is inevitable, but what you do with what you feel, this is a choice. You can let the hurt become bitterer, you can turn it into learning. You can use pain as an excuse or as impulse. The difference between those who sink and who flourish is not in the pain they felt, but in what they decided to do with it. Evil, careful feelings become deep roots. And painful harvests. So if your life is too heavy, maybe it's time to look inside. Ask yourself, what am I still carrying that I had already to go? Untreated emotions generate unconscious behaviors. But when you heal inside, the change appears on the outside. Your way changes. Your gaze changes. And the world begins to respond more lightly, more connection, more love. There are people who think that doing nothing is neutrality. But the truth is simple and uncomfortable. Even inertia is a form of plantation. When you advance important decisions, you hide after excuses or say then I see it, is planting stagnation. The harvest? Frustration, regret, and often loss of opportunities that do not return. Life charges what you avoid. Procrastinating is not just laziness, it is fear disguised. Fear of making mistakes, being judged, leaving the comfortable. But as long as you protect yourself in then I do, time goes by. And unlike money, time doesn't come back. Delaying an important conversation at the wedding, a medical checkup, a financial decision. All of this seems small, but they are seeds of the future harvest. And the future comes. The comfort zone is not comfortable, it is only known. It's that place where you already know what to expect, even if you are unhappy. Many people spend their lives there, in a job they hate, in a warm relationship, in a body that no longer recognizes. Why? Because it is afraid to change. But not realizing that this zone is suffocating you is the first step to living a life in half. Want a practical example? Now make a list of things you live by postponing. Read aloud. Which one, if done today, would have the greatest positive impact on your life? Start with this one. Do not expect the courage to come, she is born from the action. And with each step outside the comfort zone, your mind begins to understand that you are ready to grow. Because growth is not born in self-indulgence. Saying I don't have time is the most expensive excuse you can give. What is missing, most of the time, is a priority. While you roll to start that project, another is already reaping the fruits because it had the courage to act. Procrastinating is planting delay. And the account always arrives. Sometimes in the form of stress, sometimes in the form of regret. But it comes. So reflect, what have you avoided doing? What decisions are packaged by fear or comfort? Life rewards who acts, not who expects the perfect moment. Because this moment never comes. The action is the key that unlocks doors. And leaving the comfort zone is to plant movement. Movement is life. And life is change. Are you ready to move? Want to know what you are planting? Simple, look at your harvest. Life leaves clues all the time. Just observe your current results in finances, relationships, health, in the profession. Everything around you today has been fed by thoughts, feelings, and actions you had yesterday. And this is liberating, because if you plant it, you can change it too. Start with financial life. Look at your bank balance, your debts, your ability to invest. What does that show you? Money does not appear by chance. It is the result of choices, habits, and beliefs. If you live on the edge or always sabotage when you start to thrive, you may be planting scarcity without realizing it. Changing this requires new behaviors and before them new ideas. Now look at your health. How is your body? And your disposition? Their eating habits are daily seeds. What you put on the plate, as you sleep, move or not, all this influences your vitality. No need to turn athlete or cut everything at once. But you need to plant self-care. Because disease is also harvest of emotional and physical neglect. Let's go to relationships. Look at those around you. Is there affection, intimacy, respect? Or do you feel alone even being accompanied? The quality of your bond says a lot about what you have been planting: presence or absence, listening or judgment, love or control. Healthy relationships are not born luckily. Are built with intention. And at work, how are things going? Do you feel recognized? Have you been progressing or stuck in the same place for years? Professional performance is a direct reflection of your delivery, your posture, and your mindset. Plant excellence, even when no one is seeing, attracts rewards at the right time. But plant sloppy or comfort. The account comes and comes high. Looking at these areas, the inevitable question is, what am I planting in this part of my life? This reflection, however uncomfortable it seems, is the first step for real change. When you identify your plantation, it recovers the power to choose new paths. Life changes when you change what feeds. And it all starts with this honest look at yourself. The time has come for the truth. Everything you feel, thinks, speaks, and does, it's your responsibility. No matter what they did to you, but what you do with what they did. This is the turning point. Self-responsibility is not about guilt, it is about power. When you assume you are in charge of your life, everything changes. Because control comes back to your hands. It is easier to blame the boss, the government, the former, the parents, the market, the climate. But while you are stuck in this story, you will continue to reap the same results as always. The life you have today is a reflection of the choices you made or failed to do it. And the good news is you can choose different. You can write a new chapter from now on. Want a simple example? Stop saying my life doesn't change because no one helps me. Change for my life changes when I help myself. This is self-responsibility. It is getting out of the role of victim and wearing the role of protagonist. It is understanding that even with pain, scarcity, or difficulty, you can still plant something new because the field is yours. When you recognize that life responds to what you make, it begins to act more consciously. Your words become lighter. Your more constructive thoughts. Your feelings, more mature. And your behaviors, more consistent with the life you want. It's like tuning an instrument before the show. You prepare to play the right melody. This is not perfection. You will make mistakes, will stumble, will be frustrated. But when it assumes self-responsibility, even errors have become learning. Because you understand that everything is seed. Even what hurts can flourish. Just choose how to water. Self-responsibility is freedom. And it is also commitment. Because there is no one else to blame, no excuse to stop. So I ask you, what are you planting now, right now? This answer is worth more than any theory. It is worth your peace, your evolution, your wealth, not only financial, but of soul. The choice is there, before you, every day. You reap what you plant. And plant what you choose. And today, perhaps for the first time, you can choose different. And now that you know that everything is plantation, thoughts, feelings, actions, even silence, the most powerful question you can do to yourself is, what do I want to reap a year from now? Because that's what will guide what you decide to plant today. And it doesn't have to be a radical turn. Small conscious steps, repeated every day, change integers. Look around you. Your reality is giving you signs. The balance in the bench, the peace in the heart, the bonds they maintain, the projects they take off or that they lock. Everything carries the invisible signature of your choices. The harvest never lies. And if you didn't like what you see, the good news is that you can start a new planting now. Just have the courage to stop, look, and decide differently. Think, what do you need to stop watering in your life? What feeling, thought, or behavior has already given what you had to give and is preventing you from flourishing? What's more, what can you start planting from today? This reflection is not theoretical, it is practical, daily, transformative. And no one can do it for you. The change is personal, non-transferable, and totally possible. So if this content aroused something inside, if it made you think, reflect, or even get emotional, don't let this moment pass. Enjoy the energy of this turn to act. Write, plan, change, forgive, start. Because nothing changes until you change. And true wealth does not start in your pocket, it begins in mind, heart, the way you take care of your own story. If this video made sense to you, subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share with someone who also needs to hear it. Here, we cultivate transformation every day. And the next harvest may be yours.